Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Sports Desk show. I am Payton on the radio, your host, alongside of Steel Flyers. As today we got another action-packed show for you guys once again, as we have a trade to announce in the NBA. Of course, as Kemba Walker will be going to OKC. We're at Carlisle also to leave the Mavericks, and we have some awards to announce in the NHL as well for the Jack Adams and the Bill Masterton as well. And we have some struggling teams in the MLB as well that we're going to be talking about in the Arizona Diamondbacks. And we're going to be talking about playoffs for both the NBA and the NHL. So we got tons of stuff to talk about. Steel, how's it going there, buddy?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. A lot of stuff to get into, like you said, a lot of things going on in the sports world right now. Also, as we speak, the French Grand Prix is in practice right now. So that's going to be kicking off this weekend as well. So be looking forward to that. Love the great coverage for Formula One. But just like you said, man, Boston Celtics trading away Walker, and then also the Rick Carlisle leaving the Dallas Mavericks, and then some of the awards that we're going to talk about, and then also the issue there in Major League Baseball too. So a lot of stuff to get into, man. So why don't we just start off with the top story that we're going to start off with today, and that's the Boston Celtics trading away to Kemba Walker to Oklahoma City.
Yeah, this was a pretty big deal. Of course, Kemba Walker, a former All-Star there for the Boston Celtics, had kind of a struggling season. But this was a huge package. Now, OKC got from the Boston Celtics, they got Kemba Walker, a 16th overall pick in this year's NBA draft, a 2025 second-round selection to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Al Horford, Moses Brown, and a 2023 second-round pick. This is a kind of a weird trade. Bless you.
Thank you.
Kemba Walker is being sent over to the OKC. Now, OKC, the fun fact about this is now they have 18 first-round draft picks in the next 7 drafts. You want to talk about some rebuild, ladies and gentlemen? 18 first-round draft picks in the next 7 years. That is absolutely amazing for Oklahoma City Thunder.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing the amount of first round picks they have, and especially for getting Kemba. Well, yeah, talk about stockpiling and building around some player, and that's what they're really doing. And talking about Kemba Walker, he didn't have the worst season in the world. Now, the past 2 seasons, he's dealing with a bit of injuries, and that's the biggest reason why the Boston Celtics wanted to move away from Walker's, because the injury history with him. He had 19 18.3 points average, 4.0 rebounds, 4.9 assists. Not bad for, this year in only 43 games. He was injured for a little bit of it. So, going over to Oklahoma City will probably help the young Alexander player there there in Oklahoma, help kind of build around him. And in the next 18 first-round picks over the next 7 drafts, that's just baffling.
Gosh, talk about a team that's going to have some young talent. And the draft pool has just exploded over the last couple of years with talent. Okay, especially in those first rounds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially in those first rounds. And in order for them to be competitive, especially with what New Orleans has been doing, you know what I mean, and some of the other teams down there, what they've been doing as well too. So they're going to need these draft picks to get these players so they can be competitive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then on the flip side, what Boston basically did was free up a lot of money.
Oh yeah, I think they freed up about $30 million.
Something crazy.
They freed up because Walker was owed about roughly $73 million. They said here for the next 2 years, while Orford was only owed $53 million of only the 41 guaranteed with the same 2 years, of course.
So
but
yeah, that's
they are saving a bit of money.
Save. Yeah, that's a significant save. So, like you said, they can, offer some more of their young stars an opportunity to come make the team and play with the team and stuff like that. And so that's kind of what it's all building around. You know what I mean? Both of these clubs are trying to do the thing here, You know what I mean? Where Boston's trying to free up some money. You know what I mean? Which this is what this kind of seems like it was. You know what I mean?
It definitely was that. I think from what I was reading in the article, they were clearing up some money so they could sign Evan Fournier onto the team and get him on. And the Celtics didn't have that bad of a season. They were a pretty solid team, 36-36 throughout the season, 7th in the NBA. Not the worst year in the world. They did get kicked out of the first round by the Brooklyn Nets, which was going to be a tough series already, but you had Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who had really good seasons for the Boston Celtics, some big positives. This trade is only going to, clear some cap space, make sure that they can improve upon it going into next year. We'll have to see what the Boston Celtics do next. But this was a pretty good trade, I felt like, for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Celtics did decent in this trade, but why trade away Kemba Walker and a first? I know you're trying to clear up some cap, that's a big reason why you made this deal. But it sucks you had to trade away a first-round pick and not really pick up anything of real importance for the team, but for clearing up some cap space.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of give for a very little bit in return, as far as saving roughly $36 million. You know what I mean? So you didn't, and you had to give up a first-round draft pick too.
Yeah.
So
And this year for the Thunder, the last part of it, they have 3 first-round picks for this year's draft. They got, I think, the 16th overall. I know they have like a top 5 pick. They have a pick from Houston that's top 4 protected. So we'll have to see what happens on Tuesday for the NBA draft lottery and see where they all end up. But a lot of picks coming for the Thunder. And if you're a fan of the Oklahoma City Thunder, you probably are pretty excited about the future of that team with 18 first-round picks. That's just absolutely insane. As we'll head off to the next story, is Rick Carlisle to leave the Dallas Mavericks after 13 seasons, which is just absolutely amazing. Carlisle won an NBA title there back in 2011. He wrote a little thing talking about how he was having multiple conversations with Mark Cuban, and he was more wanting to be with his family. He was an amazing coach, 836 wins as a coach, and his 14th all time. Just an absolutely amazing coach in Rick Carlisle. I was hearing a bit of stuff that he was not getting too well with the superstar there, Luka Doncic, there with the Mavericks. So maybe it was Carlisle knowing that maybe he's past his time. He's been in the NBA for a long time, and especially for the Mavericks, coaching there for 13 years. I don't know how many times.
Is that the longest tenured coach? Is that the longest tenured coach in the NBA?
I don't know, but it might be, because I don't think we've ever really heard too many, even in the NHL. We don't hear too many cases that a coach is there for 13 seasons as a coach.
That's even unheard of hardly in the football realm.
Right? Like maybe a coach lasts there for 5 to 6 years and then maybe moves on. But 13 years, that's just it's like almost Barry Trotz all over again with the Nashville Predators and David Pulley, where they stayed there for 20 years or something like that. David Pulley's still there. But
or you could look at the franchises like the Steelers, where the Steelers have only had 3 coaches since 1969. Now I don't know about you. Yeah, that's a long time to go with only 3 coaches. When you look at a team like, say, the Cleveland Browns, right, where they've had 13 coaches in the last 5, 6, 7 years, every other year there's a new coach there in Cleveland. You know what I mean? It's like, all right. Yeah. So, but to do 13 years in the NBA, and to be for the Mavericks. I mean, the Mavericks have been relatively, in the discussion.
This year they've been great, especially with Luka Doncic. He's just been an ever-coming all-star for that team. He's just been amazing.
But Dallas has always been relatively relevant since he's been coach.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, you don't coach that long and not amass that many wins and still be able to coach. I mean, you have to be a winning coach in order to continue to coach.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a blow for them.
It is, but I think it's a time for a new beginning there with the Mavericks. You know, Dirk Nowitzki, he was when Rick Carlisle was coaching. That's the superstar he was coaching. He did so great with Dirk, but now he's not doing so well with Doncic, and it's time to find you a new coach that would fit perfectly alongside of Luka Doncic, just like how Jackson did with Michael Jordan. Right, you need to find that coach that fits that superstar perfectly, especially in the NBA. Sometimes you might not even need a coach like LeBron, but I think you need to find that perfect coach for Doncic to just take him to that next step there for the Mavericks.
Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. So, but be looking for them to be making some announcements here probably over the next couple of weeks here about who's going to be their next coach. That's for sure. Because they're going to want to get a coach in there relatively quickly, especially with the draft and everything coming up here relatively soon too. So,
without a doubt.
So that,
you could go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I was just going to say that takes us to our next top story, where the NHL, in lieu of having an awards show this year, as of like they did last year, they did not have an awards show where everybody was able to get together and they were able to present the awards. So what the NHL has been doing has been announcing finalists and then announcing winners every day now, starting on the 14th and running straight through now, I guess, until the end of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah. I think today the Selke is going to be announced today.
Ooh. All right. Well, okay. So the other day we were announced with the Masterson Trophy, the Bill Masterson Trophy, with Oscar Lindblom from the Philadelphia Flyers winning this trophy. And let me just step in and say this. I can appreciate the fact that Bobby Ryan won it last year after his bout of alcoholism. But I think it was a foregone conclusion that Oscar Lindblom was going to win this award from last year. He came back from a rare form of bone cancer that he was able to get the chemotherapy for, able to ring the bell and come back in the bubble last year, and then be able to come out and play for mostly a full season this year. Okay, he only missed a couple of games, I think, due to some injury there. But for the most part, he played almost all the games this year.
Yeah, I give the guy huge respect. You know, it's a tough battle. It really is. Especially as a hockey player and then coming right back after you just beat it to come into the playoffs and fight with your team in the bubble is just absolutely heroic from the 23-year-old. Absolutely amazing. Now, this year, you know, he wasn't a big point producer, but neither, you know, the Flyers weren't the greatest team either. But this guy, I love Lindblom. I think he has that warrior mentality. He's a real good player out of that ice. You know, he can play both sides of the ice. Lindblom is just that type of player that you want on your team, especially at the young age of 24 years old. Like way back in 2019, he had 33 points that year, almost had 20 goals that year in his first full season in his career. So absolutely amazing to see Oscar Lindblom win the Masterton this year. You kind of knew that it was going to happen no matter what, even at the start of the season. You knew that Bobby Ryan was going to win it last year because massive respect to him as well, battling, you know, that alcoholism. But this year, definitely well deserving of Oscar Lindblom, you know, getting over bone cancer. Huge respect to Lindblom, and congrats on winning the Masterton Award.
For sure. And you know, it's what he was able to accomplish. He was able to go through the chemo and be healthy enough to come out and play in the bubble. Look, he hasn't been 100% since then, and it takes a lot to come back from that kind of stuff because chemo is basically straight. It kills indiscriminately. It doesn't matter what cell you are. It takes you out. You know what I mean? So
makes you weak.
Yes,
makes you very, very weak.
Very, very weak. Okay, and so to be able to do that and come back and play has been just. I mean, I can't even say how awesome it is for this guy to come back and be able to play at an NHL level to the point where he got an contract extension during this time where he signed for 3 years, $3.6 million for each year. Okay. So that tells you a lot about what the Flyers feel about his potential.
Yeah.
Okay, to sign a contract like that, even though you're still coming back from chemo and still coming back from cancer, and still trying to get healthy, and you can sign a deal like that, that says a lot about what the Flyers think about this young player right here for sure.
Oh yeah, they have massive amounts of respect, and that's why I absolutely love this Masterton Award, because it's the one award that I don't see anyone argue about when there's a winner announced, because every
Okay,
time there's
yeah,
a
that's
winner
a good way to
announced,
look at it. Yeah.
there's always an argument on, yeah, this guy doesn't deserve this because of this, but this award, there's never really that fact. Like, you might be even saying, oh yeah, maybe this person might get it, but this award is just, recognizing true warriors and people getting over true things in life,
Yeah.
either mentally or going through something like this, battling cancer. And it shows these people, that hockey players are real people, and it's not just about the ability that they put out on the ice. They do go through real stuff as well. And throughout this COVID time, we see it as like, oh, these players are horrible, but they're going through the same stuff we might be going through, stuck in our house every single day, not able to do as much stuff. So this award is just great at showing, the real warriors behind the scenes there in the NHL, and seeing Lindblom coming back from, the rare form of bone cancer and able to come back and play almost a full season. It's just absolutely amazing to see.
I agree. And, you even touched on it there before where, look, nobody really argues about this award except for maybe last year, because Lindblom was up for it last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And that was really the only time I heard any kind of real pushback, because Lindblom was up for this award last year. Yeah. Okay. And so that's why it just seemed like it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to more than likely win it this year, because he was, just a hair to starboard on the votes from last year. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I've personally gone through, not me personally, but within my immediate family, I've gone through a family member that's had cancer, and it is not pretty.
It is not. I feel you on that.
Okay.
I've been through the same thing. It's not pretty.
It's not pretty at all. And the fact that he was able to come back from this and come back from the chemo, because the chemo is that's the real killer right there. Okay. That's what makes it the hardest to come back from, because it destroys muscle cells and blood cells and everything else. You know what I mean? So that's where it's almost like starting from scratch, where that's and that's what makes it that much more impressive. That he was, that he was able to come out and play in the bubble last year during the playoffs, and then, have an off season and then be able to come out and play in the season this year. So very huge congratulations to Oscar Lindblom and his entire family. This award was long time coming and very much deserving.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Okay.
Yeah. So
without a doubt.
Man, having said that, look, we're going to talk about another ex-Flyer.
Mr. Rod Brind'Amour.
No. Announce him as the Mr. Jack Adams award-winning Rod Brind'Amour, ex-Philadelphia Flyer. Yeah, there you go. How's that sound, right?
That sounds way better. There we go.
Right. All right. Yeah, but oh my gosh. Congratulations to Rod Brind'Amour on the Jack Adams Award. Holy smokes.
I think this was a no-doubter. I think you could almost have an argument for Joel Quenneville winning this one as well, just because of the team that he was able to put together in Florida. But this was almost just given to Rod Brind'Amour. He had a really good season with the Carolina Hurricanes. The Canes are on top of that tough division almost the entire season. Now, yes, they did lose to the defending Stanley Cup champions in Tampa Bay.
But Boston is defending Stanley Cup champions.
Yep.
In the second round.
With a very young goalie. And I mean, Tampa Bay, if you look at the way that team was, they're just a step above the Carolina Hurricanes. But Carolina was so good throughout the entire season. Brendan Morris is a very beloved coach, I think, throughout the entire NHL. Now, I would almost love to see Joe Quenneville win this award as well this year because of the fact that he was able to take a team that was nothing last year and was actually able to build it into a confident team and actually, was almost the better in the regular season than Tampa Bay Lightning, and placed second in that division, right behind the Hurricanes. And Quenneville was able to transform that defense, transform that offense, and even a little bit of that goaltending, and made it actually a pretty confident team there in Florida. Dean Evason was also nominated for this award as well. He definitely had a great year, not discrediting it, but he was definitely in a little bit of a weaker division. And not discrediting, I think Dean Evason was great, but Rod Brind'Amour definitely deserved this Jack Adams Award this year.
So was talking with the GOAT here on the Off the Wall Hockey Show a little earlier, and he really was high on Dean Evason. Anderson, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason why he said this, and you have to listen to this argument, okay, is this. The expectations of Minnesota were not nearly what they were for Carolina and or for Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. And so Minnesota was able to far and exceed expectations by being the 4th seed and making the playoffs, where nobody even remotely thought that they were going to even sniff the playoffs this year. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that, I think, is one of the things that you have to take into consideration here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so when he pointed that out, I was like, wow, I see where you're coming from on that. I really do. But to me, this was always a 2-horse race between Quenneville and Brind'Amour, because I agree with you. I'm not taking anything away from what he did in Minnesota. Okay.
I think Evason did great.
I mean, amazing job. And I would actually contend to say this. He might actually be in the running for next year.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think that if Wild build upon what they did this year, without a doubt, I could see him winning the Jack Adams next year.
All right. So now you're following me on that, right? So now Quenneville's already won one.
Yep.
Right. And they tend to, over the years, we've seen this in the past, where they tend to vote for guys that haven't won over guys that have already won.
Yeah.
Right. So Quenneville's already won it. Rod Brind'Amour. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from what Quenneville did in Florida, because Florida also had much lower expectations based off of the turnaround that they had, based off of a lot of things that went down there in Florida. With what they've been able to build there in Florida and be able to do what they did this season has been nothing short of amazing. Okay.
I know. Yeah.
Right. But Carolina's has been building over the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think he was up for Coach of the Year last year.
I think so.
I think he finished like 3rd or 4th in the voting. Right?
I think something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so, like I said, this has been kind of in the building in the last 3 years now, since he's been head coach of Carolina. And this year was the culmination, I think, of that. So that's why I believe I was completely supportive of Rod Brind'Amour winning this award. I think he is completely deserving of it. I mean, isn't that a Carolina jersey behind you?
Yes.
Hey, what do you know? So I really think that Brind'Amour was highly deserving of this award, hands down, without a question.
Yeah, one more quick point. I was looking at all the voting for all the coaching. Can we talk about how Barry Trotz only got 1 vote and John Haynes got more votes than Barry Trotz? Can we talk about, like, what were the...
Sullivan got more votes than Trotz.
Like, you would expect a little bit more votes to Trotz. I know he didn't have the greatest end of the season, but having John Haynes and maybe actually even Dave Tippett having, less or more votes than Barry Trotz is just absolutely baffling.
It's funny that you mentioned the votes, though, because Brind'Amour had 433 and the next one down had 233 or something crazy like that. right? So yeah, it was far and away all about Brenda Moore, right? So
It
second
was.
place was 200 votes behind,
It
easily
really
200
was.
votes behind. Yeah. So
Mhm.
all right, well there you have it. So we're looking forward to the next award announced today or
Yep,
tonight.
the Frank J. Selke,
So
which
that is
you're
confirmed that that's going to be announced tonight.
yeah, that will be announced tonight. The nominations are Barkov, Bergeron, and Stone. Those guys will be the finalists for the Frank J. Selke. That should be announced before the game between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Montreal Canadiens tonight. So be ready for that. Make sure to tune in early if you want to see who wins that award, and
Yeah,
you
for
get to
sure.
watch the little interview as well. So
Yeah.
uh,
Awesome.
if it's if it's Barkov or Bergeron and you want to see them, have a little bit of a press conference since they're out of the playoffs, you get that chance to see them talk a
See
little
them.
bit. But
Yep.
we'll get on to some MLB news as the Arizona Diamondbacks, well, they set a little bit of an MLB record yesterday with their
Not in a good way.
23rd. No, not in a good way.
Not in a good
With their
way.
23rd consecutive road loss as they lost to the San Francisco Giants. Now, this record is going to be stapled by a 10-3 loss to the Giants. And this one was a rough one. The D-backs looked ejected. They broke a tie from 1963 with the New York Mets. 1963 that this record was broken and broken by the New York Mets there. Oh, this was a rough one for the D-backs. 10-3 loss. Not something the Diamondbacks are looking to have. Just it's rough for them.
Yeah, this
And
is
they're
not a
not looking
record
very
in a good
happy.
way. This is not a
No,
good record. Oh
it's like
man.
that Buffalo Sabres losing streak all over again. But this is not even just like they have lost all their games. This is a road loss. 23 in a row road losses, which is just baffling to think that they just cannot win on the road.
Wow, that is crazy. I mean, with the amount of parity that's in sports today, especially with the Major League Baseball, especially with teams paying, upwards of $400 million for players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like I said, the amount of parity, maybe it's something in the water down there. I mean, I don't know what 23 consecutive road losses. Is
It's
that what the
insane.
record is? That's what the record is?
23 consecutive road losses. Yep.
Guys, we've only played about 60 some odd baseball games so far this year. That's not boding well, guys.
Yeah, they have a 20-50 record. A lot of those losses have come on the road, so it's been a rough year for the D-backs. I think one of the worst teams in baseball right now are the Arizona Diamondbacks. So it's rough for them right now. I think it's more than rough. It's a dumpster fire there, basically.
There you go. That's the way to put it. Oh my gosh, man. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the records of all the other rest of the leagues. And yeah, they're by far and away the closest one. The next closest team is the Orioles.
Yeah.
At 22 and 46. And then the Pirates are bringing up third place on that one at 23 and 44.
I mean, the Orioles and Pirates are usually down there anyway. Same with the D-backs. Usually you see those three teams near the bottom. They have not been very good the past couple of years, especially the Orioles. They've just been they've been not being very good since they lost Machado there a while back.
Yeah, for sure. And and it doesn't seem like they're putting anything together down there either. You know what I mean? Like they just whatever reason they just seem to be okay with what's going on, but okay, so any hope for the Diamondbacks at all? I mean, really?
Not really. I guess you could just hope for some good prospects coming on the way. You're basically looks like they're rebuilding right now. They don't got a lot of players that, you look on their roster. You don't got a lot of players that, could be exciting right now on their main roster. So it's just basically time to tune into another team and try to enjoy baseball for the rest of the season if you're a fan of the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I say, or either that, or I mean, Will they be able to do something at the trade deadline? Do they have money that they can go out and make some splash or anything like that? I mean,
They might, but I mean, even if they were, there's so many games back. It's like might as well just bail for the top pick in the draft for next year
yeah, there
and
you go. All
try to
right.
get somebody good to be excited about for the future there for
There
the
you go.
Diamondbacks. But I think that's the best. I think that's the best possible thing you could do as fans. I
Okay.
mean, it sucks to watch a team rebuild, and especially to watch a game like this where you get pummeled 10-3 and you lose your
Yeah.
23rd 23rd game in a row. It's a rough one. You're going to be dejected as a team. You're probably not going to, even as a manager, you're probably not going to want to go and trade for anyone because you're like, oh man, this team is too
Nobody's
upset. You
gonna want.
basically would have to trade away the entire team and get new faces in to make that
Start
chemistry a bit
over.
better. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Well, I'll tell you what. That's going to do it for the first half of the show here. We were
Mhm.
able to get all of our top stories in here too, and a lot of great information going on out there too, for sure. So we'll be right back after our word from our sponsors, Canine Country Club Resorts. You can check them out online at www.cccresorts.com. You can also check them out on Facebook. They take care of all your pets grooming needs, all your spa needs, and they also have great daycare programs and an indoor and an outdoor pool. And get in a phone call real quick now because the groomers are really booked up for quite a long time. And you can also get great vacation rates there too. So you can go out on vacation, send your dog there for boarding and get everything taken care of and know that your dog will be well taken care of. And it's also for cats too. So check it out. A word from our sponsor, www.cccresorts.com. We'll be right back after this.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. They've taken care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. Both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full-service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sports Desk with Payton, your host, and SteelFlyers as your co-host. That was a word from our great sponsor, Canine Country Club Resorts. Check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com. And we're about to get into one of our other favorite parts of the show. That's right, folks.
Yeah.
Scoreboard. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. We have an exciting, pretty exciting week for basketball and hockey. As basketball, they're finishing up practically the round 2 right now. They're getting down to the final games of it. Even today, you have the Atlanta Hawks and the 76ers, which we're going to be talking all about those games, as there's a couple elimination games for the NBA tonight. But the first elimination game, which we'll talk about Wednesday's games now, as the Atlanta Hawks take a big victory, 109-106 over the Philadelphia 76ers, as they came back in the fourth quarter. Trae Young absolutely popped off 39 points on the night and gave the Hawks a big 3-2 series lead, which they will be playing tonight. It's a big game. The Hawks have the 76ers on the brink of elimination. That game will be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Joel Embiid and Seth Curry, they did amazing for the 76ers. Embiid had a double-double, 37 points, 13 rebounds. Seth Curry was just absolutely nailing it from the three-point line. He had 36 points on the night, but it just was not enough for the 76ers, and they just blew it. Embiid choked once again. We were talking about it on the last show how he went 0-12. And now, once again, the 76ers do it again, and they just let Trae Young walk all over them.
Yeah. Now, this wasn't, the Sixers were leading, and then the Hawks came back, and they did win by 3 points. But, Ben Simmons only had 8 points on the night and 4 rebounds. I don't know about you, but when Joel Embiid has 37 and Seth Curry's got 36 and Ben Simmons only has 8, that's kind of a problem there, folks. You got to have to right that ship there, guys. Sixers were leading pretty much the East almost from jump at the beginning of the season and have been ever since. You know what I mean? This has basically been this series has been back and forth. Okay,
it is.
Each team has won a game, and then the next night the next team wins. You know what I mean? So and look how close the score was. And each of the scores over the last 5 games have all been within 3, 5, 6, 7 points. That's not blowout material there. You know what I mean? That's playing close games.
It has been really close games, and I think the reason why it's been so close games because it seems like the 76ers get off to a little bit of a hot start, which they did in this game. They looked like they were amazing, looked like they were going to win. In the first quarter, they were up 38-24, and then in the fourth quarter, they just let Trae Young pop off, and the rest of the team, the Hawks went up 40-19 in the fourth quarter. It just was not a pretty looking thing for the 76ers, and now they are up against the wall and they need to win the next 2 games if they want to move on. Exactly. And Ben Simmons needs to step up a little bit. Only having 8 points and 9 assists. Yes, assists are only going to carry you so long. Right. You got to start putting up those big boards if you want your team to go far. And right now it just seems like Trae Young and that team has just been the better team.
It has. And Ben Simmons over the last 2 games has not even put up 20 points.
Yeah, I think the closest he got was like 16, 17 points, I think. Even then, that was like one night out of the entire series where he's actually produced well.
The last 2 games, he has not put up 20 points combined. Okay, so
It's not good. You got to have him produce.
Like I said, you need to have that production from him, or else you're just not going to be able to go past the Atlanta Hawks here, because Atlanta Hawks are bringing it too much. I mean, even if you look at Daniello, right? He had 16 points and 8 rebounds.
Yeah,
okay, he's coming off the bench for them. You know what I'm saying? Come on. If guys are coming off the bench like that for the Hawks and getting that kind of production, and Ben Simmons is playing the whole game and only gets 8 points.
That's the funny thing. There was 2 guys that got a decent amount of points. You had Gallinari, who had 16 points from the bench, and he also had Williams from the bench, who had 15 points as well from the bench. So they were having some big guys producing from the bench, which it seems like the 76ers have not been getting that. And most of the points came from Embiid and Curry throughout this entire game. Like, that's where they got most of their points from. No one else really showed up there for the 76ers, and they need those other guys to step up. They need to start getting a little bit more depth if they want to go far. But right now, I feel like the Hawks will be able to pull it off. They look like a good team, but if Embiid does Embiid things, I mean, anything can happen with the 76ers going into tonight's game 6.
And if Simmons suddenly finds the handle, and starts dropping some of them buckets.
Yeah. All right, so let's get on.
I feel the golf clubs being warmed up.
Yeah, they might be, as some other golf clubs might be getting warmed up here for the Utah Jazz as the Clippers pull away with a huge victory for themselves as they walk away 119-111 win for the Clippers over the Utah Jazz. Now, this game was without the superstar for the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard as he tweaked his knee. I think it was a little bit of a knee injury. He's very questionable and returning back into this series. So the Clippers might have to finish it off hopefully tonight. Most likely for the Clippers. They're hoping to finish it off tonight. But Paul George, he was everything that the Clippers want him to be. 37 points, 16 rebounds, a double-double. Absolutely amazing night, even especially for Morris Sr. He had 25 points as well. On the other side for the Jazz, they are really hurting right now. Donovan Mitchell is questionable for Game 6 with an ankle injury. He was not as what he was usually throughout the series. He only had 21 points, and you were used to seeing this guy up at 40. But this game, he only had about 21. Bogdanovic, he was really carrying the squad with 32 points, and Rudy Gobert also had a good night as well, but just was not enough to defeat the Clippers, and another close game. Also, there will be a game tonight between these two teams here for Game 6, between the Jazz and the Clippers. It'll be a big one. It's at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Kawhi Leonard will not be in the lineup, and Donovan Mitchell is questionable once again for Game 6. So a lot of injuries,
starting to catch up.
The entire NBA for almost every team, and it's kind of surprising that almost every team is so even throughout this entire series. We talked about it in the last show, once again, here again, it seems like every superstar keeps getting injured, and it's like now it's just like who has the best depth, basically.
Yeah, because look, you have to do that, and that's what makes the win for the Clippers that much more impressive. That they were able to do it without Kawhi Leonard, and more than likely they're going to have to do it again. For at least this next game, and potentially even more after that. Depending on if the Clippers advance to the next round, you know what I mean, and or if they get any time break or anything like that in between this round and the next, whatever the case is. So he probably more than likely might not make it to the rest of the series. And then on the other side too, with Jazz. Mitchell being questionable, they need all the help they can get. They need all hands on deck because even without Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers were still able to take you down.
Yeah, Paul George absolutely popped off, and you're losing out in your biggest player, Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Now you still have to deal with Paul George. It's going to be a tough night for the Jazz if Donovan Mitchell most likely. He's questionable for the game. I think he will. He probably will play throughout that injury. He might not play his best game, but this is an elimination game.
Even an 80% Donovan Mitchell is still at
it's
least
something.
Worth 20 or 30 points at least. Maybe, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
I mean, he scored 21.
Yeah, he did score 21 even when he did get injured. So
Right.
we'll have to see if he does play tonight. So make sure to check out that game. Two big games coming up for the NBA tonight. The 76ers and the Hawks happening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and same with the Jazz and Clippers. That will be happening at 10 p.m. Eastern. So great games happening there. And then we'll get into yesterday's games. Actually, there was only one. As the Brooklyn Nets, they took a huge victory over the Milwaukee Bucks, 104-89, as the series is officially tied up. And this was a big one. Actually, I messed up the scores here. Actually, this my mistake. It was actually the Milwaukee Bucks that won this game, 104-89. I don't know how I messed that up on my notes, but it was actually the Milwaukee Bucks that won this one. My mistake. As they won 104-89. This was a big one for the Bucks, as this was an elimination game. The Nets had a 3-2 series lead. They would have won this series, of course, that they did win. But the Milwaukee Bucks pushed it to a Game 7, which there will be a game on Saturday. Make sure to check that out. It'll be a good one. As Durant had a double-double, but Antetokounmpo stepped up big time. And not even just that, his teammate in Chris Middleton stepped up big time. He had a double-double, but not just that, he had 5 steals on the night. And you don't see that very much. He was phenomenal defensively for the Bucks. Had an amazing night. And just that entire Bucks team looked like a unit. While the Nets, they were carried by Kevin Durant, and it looks like James Harden still is a bit injured.
Okay, so that's what I was just going to say. The fact that he's back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's another one of those players where, an 80% James Harden is still worth 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. Okay, so
that helps your team out.
Yeah.
The thing it was, though, they weren't able to produce as much as the other night there for the Nets. I think that was the biggest thing for them.
Yep.
They did still do very well. I mean, we'll have to see what happens there in Game 7. It's going to be an intense one between the Nets and the Bucks. So if you're a big NBA fan, be ready for that. As the series is tied up at 3, it'll be going off to Game 7 on Saturday. So let's get off to the NHL. As we got some games to talk about there, as we'll just get right into it. As we're going to talk about Wednesday's games, as the Montreal Canadiens, they pull off a surprising victory, 3-2 over the Vegas Golden Knights. They tie up the series. Price had an insane night, making some big saves once again.
You said surprising.
Well, it wasn't really surprising. It was a pretty big victory for the Canadiens. They played really hard, and I said on Perlo's show, whoever scores the first goal will win the game. And that's how it's been throughout this series already in the first 2 games. Whoever scores the first goal dominates the game, because these two teams seem to be very similar. Very similar in the fact that they rely on their goalie a lot, and they play a very defensive style game.
Yes.
And the way that I've been seeing it from Vegas, they've been getting a lot of goals from their defense. 5 goals from their defense in the past 2 games. Yeah, and only. Pietrangelo with 2, and they only been able to score from the point. And I think that's a bit of a worrying fact if you're a Golden Knights fan, that you only really been able to score from the point, and that is it. Otherwise, Paul Byron had a great breakaway goal there on Fleury, and also Toffoli got a goal there as well. But good game for the Canadiens. And they keep surprising me every bit of the way. I think that they'll get their booty kicked, and it seems like they just dominate.
See, now they're surprising you, but they're not surprising me. No, seriously, I'm not. Because think of it like this, okay? Montreal played 7 games in a row and won all 7 of those games, and went to Vegas and lost that first game in Vegas. Okay? Yeah. And it was the first time in front of a whole bunch of fans. It was the first time, where they had to travel to the United States and everything like that, and blah, 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 and I get it. And Vegas plays well from in front, just like, well, most any team does, for real. But it just seems like certain teams are built to play from in front. Montreal just seems to be one of those teams that plays really well when they have the lead. Okay?
Yeah.
And if they don't score first, it's usually tough for them to come back. And that's exactly what happened, I think, in the first game. But let me say this. I am not surprised by the fact that they have a Vezina-winning trophy goalie in Carey Price, who has looked utterly amazing in these playoffs. Okay. He might have let a soft goal in here or there, but for the most part, he's played very, very well. Montreal has ripped off 7 games in a row against Toronto and Winnipeg before they came to Vegas and lost that first game. Okay. They were able to come in here in the second game against Vegas, and in the last 5 minutes and 36 seconds of the game was able to hold Vegas to nothing. They just said, hold my drink. You guys aren't going to score. Okay? They got up 3-0 in the third period, and then Vegas came back a little bit. They got those 2 goals, and then Montreal was like, okay, you're done. And that was it.
Like, even in the first game between the Canadiens and the Golden Knights, Montreal didn't play that bad of a game. Like, you look at it analytically, that game could have went 50-50 between those two teams. It's just that when a team plays from behind, it seems like they're not able to score as much. When the Canadiens scored first, it seemed like the Golden Knights seemed out of whack. They didn't seem like they were playing to the way that they usually play, and the Canadiens were just flying when they got that first goal. It seems like whoever scores that first goal just gets that breath of confidence, and they just seem to start flying. And I think we even seen that from the Golden Knights even last year when they went up against the Canucks, and especially against the Dallas Stars in the conference finals. If they don't score first, they're most likely won't be winning that game, just because that they rely on having that confidence and just scoring that first goal first, and then protecting the lead, which they do so well in both the Canadiens and the Golden Knights.
They have really good goaltending.
They do, but that was the thing that was surprising, I think, for most fans, is that Price was not we weren't expecting this from Carey Price. There was so much banter. Even the fans were saying that he was not doing very good. And now the tables have completely turned on Carey Price. I'm still on the edge. I love Carey Price. I think he's a great goalie. I think he's had a great playoffs this year. I don't know what will happen afterwards, though. That will be the biggest question mark with me and Carey Price, is that I think he's good. He still has that skill, but will he be able to continue it? Because he's had some pretty rough years coming into this playoffs.
Yeah,
he's only done good in the playoffs in the past 2 years. He did great in the bubble, and then he went right back into the regular season struggling, and then everyone's raising him back up in the playoffs. It seems to be this teeter-totter on Price. Once we get to the playoffs, it's, Carey Price is the Lord and Savior. He's the best thing ever. And the regular season, we're paying him $10 million. Oh, no. He's horrible. What are we doing?
Yeah, what are we going to do? Oh, my gosh. But
I'm just saying it's funny. I love what Price is doing right now. Huge respect for the guy and what he's been able to do for the Canadiens, and winning 70 games in a row, and then being able to pull one off against the Golden Knights where he played fantastic. Just massive amounts of respect to the Canadiens and what they've been doing. Huge run, and I've been loving their hockey. It's a fun game to watch against the Knights. It is a fun game.
Speaking of fun games, here's a little interesting tidbit fact for you. How about 93 hits?
Woo!
In this game. In this game, Canadiens had 53 of them.
Which, to note, we got this game coming up tonight. Golden Knights, Canadiens at 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, also, I did hear some Canada. Yes, with 3,500 fans. It's going to be an exciting one. But there's some news about the head coach for the Montreal Canadiens, though. From the last time I heard, he was isolating due to some testing from some I cannot say the word.
I can't even say it either. Not regular.
Not regular, yes. Not regular. So they're going to be doing some further testing, conducting before Game 3. So he is right now unavailable. The assistant coaches and Burrows and Luke Richardson are running today's game day skate along. So we'll have to see if Ducharme's going to be there or not. But if Ducharme's there, is the Canadiens going to be able to play to that exact game plan? Will Burrows, who will be able to take over? What will happen there tonight? Like, it's going to be a big game for the Canadiens. They definitely don't want to fall down 2-1.
It's going to be a big game regardless. It's going
to be regardless.
Yeah. So they need to have this game anyway too. So because if anything's going to happen, if they split, Canadians need at least this one game. You know what I mean?
They need this one game. So we'll jump on to Thursday's game, which was a pretty exciting one. It was a little entertaining as the Tampa Bay Lightning took on the New York Islanders, and the Lightning took away a 2-1 win, and of course went up in the series 2-1 as well. This game was a lot of people were expecting heavy hits, a lot of fighting, which, every time people prepare for it, it never happens.
This lived up to the hype because it didn't happen.
Yeah. I always laugh at people who are like, oh, the next game will be heavy hitting because game 2 was like, I don't know, man. You guys always say it will, and then I tune in, and it was not big hitting. It was very tactical, and Tampa Bay, was doing good at the beginning. The Islanders were quiet. And then it seemed like once the Tampa Bay Lightning got that lead, the Islanders just played so well. But Vasilevsky shut the door so well in that third period, and especially near that tail end of that second period, it was unbelievable how well Vasilevsky helped the Lightning win that game. Because if Vasilevsky wasn't there, it could have been easily the Islanders.
Let me say this to you about this too. In fact, he was so good that if you look at it, the Islanders or the Tampa Bay Lightning were the ones that scored on themselves, because Chernak was trying to push the puck back to the goalie, which, I'm sorry, as a defenseman, you're doing what?
Yeah.
The puck is supposed to go away.
I've done that before, and you learn from it. You're never supposed to do that, especially in an NHL game.
Okay, so we're on the same page, right? Okay, so we're on the same page. So what are you doing shoveling it back to your goalie, who it then careens off of Clutterbuck and then through the legs of your goaltender? Did you learn the lesson there?
You should have learned the lesson a long time ago. Well, it's like he had a chance to shoot it into the corner. Eric Cernak, and he decided to give it to Vasilevsky, which you're only supposed to do if there's no one around you. Even then, I don't like doing it because maybe your goalie's not paying attention, and then you shoot it in the back of your net, and then you're like, oh, I just scored a goal on my own.
Or maybe your goalie is being run over by the opposition, or, whatever the case is. No, the puck is supposed to go the other way if you're wearing the same color sweater as the goalie. So, but if you take that away, the Islanders didn't get a sniff. Tampa Bay kept them completely boxed out all game long. The only real serious shots they were able to get was from the point.
Yeah. John Cooper. Me and Perlo were talking about on the show about how the John Cooper and Trotz are practically playing chess right now. I think John Cooper pulled off a little bit of a checkmate tonight. I believe he had a little bit of a checkmate, and he's just moved up a little bit closer to moving on to that Stanley Cup Finals. And that game was amazing. Loved every bit. And how did Braden Point score that goal? How did he score that goal?
On his belly.
And he twerked his I don't know how he was able to keep a hold of that puck and was able to whip it around to the back of the net. It was amazing to see. I was baffled by the goal. And Tampa Bay really they did. Analytically, you give this game to the New York Islanders any day of the week. I think they had like a 77% of a deservable win to win this game. They deserved to win this game by 77%. And the Tampa Bay Lightning Vasilevsky shut the door. They boxed them out, and they did a great job of it.
Yeah, we talked about this on the Off the Wall Hockey Show. The first game, New York Islanders went down to Tampa Bay and said, punch, right to the face of Tampa Bay, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, and won the game, all right? The second game, Tampa Bay came back out and said, oh, yeah? Punch, right back, right? And so that's why everybody thought that this game was going to be physical, fisticuffs, blah, 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 whatever, holy, whatever. There wasn't even 50 hits in this game between both teams. Wasn't even 50, right? There were two penalties, one for each
I
team.
think
That's it.
I think Tampa knew that they couldn't play the level of game that the Islanders could play, and Lightning played their game. They laid back and
Exactly.
they were like, "We'll just let things happen. We'll just go with the flow, man. We don't care. We'll just let things come at us. And
That's
then
right.
once we see an open opportunity, we'll take it. We'll dash. We'll have that
Exactly.
chance.
Exactly.
And we know we have a better goalie than what you guys do. We got Vasilevsky, who's been absolutely stellar.
Up for the
So
Vezina Trophy.
yep, this will be an exciting game on Saturday between these two teams. It's gonna be an exciting one.
Yeah.
And also today's game, it's in Canada, Montreal, 3,500 fans at 8 p.m. Eastern time between the Montreal Canadiens and the Vegas Golden Knights. It should be an exciting game.
Agreed.
But let's head off to some MLB scores to end it all off for Thursday. As the New York Yankees they beat up the Toronto Blue Jays once again with an 8-4 victory. Once again, the Blue Jays bullpen seems to just keep blowing it every single time as Anthony Castro once again blew it for the Toronto Blue Jays. As funny enough, the Blue Jays actually weren't doing too bad. Around the fifth inning, they were actually leading the game. And then they pulled their starter and it just kind of went all downhill for there. And if you're a Blue Jays fan, you know this pain already. The bullpen has just been atrocious. We could hit the ball, we could smack like 10 home runs a game, but our pitching can't save us anything. And the Yankees pull away with another huge victory as they slowly climb that
I was just going to
divisional
say, though,
rankings.
yeah, but the Yankees are not doing all that much better than the Blue Jays right now. You
No,
know what I mean? They're right there. They're only 2.5 games back of the Yankees. The Blue Jays are. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So it's not like the Yankees are burning it up either. You know what I mean?
No,
These are the
no.
kinds of games though that if you need to climb the ladder, you need to be winning these kinds of games though.
Yeah, and this is the fourth loss in a row for the Toronto Blue Jays, and they have not done very well against them, which there will be a game tonight for them as they start a new series against the Baltimore Orioles. So they do get a chance to kind of tune their
Oh, there you
skills
go.
against
Yeah,
a
yeah,
worse team, kind of get that confidence back
yeah.
into
Right.
them. But it was a rough loss against the Yankees, and those are types of wins that you need to win, especially if you have the lead kind of in late into the game. But we'll head off to the next one as the Chicago Cubs. They pulled off a 2-0 victory over the New York Mets. Now, this was a very low-hitting game. Marcus Stroman was an absolute madman for the Mets, pitching 7 innings of work, 8 strikeouts, only giving up 2 earned runs. And on the other side for the Cubs, Hendricks had an amazing night as well. 7 strikeouts, 6 innings of work. He just had an amazing night. And then the bullpen just did the rest of the work for the Cubs. And this was a big win for the Cubs as well, as they're trying to keep in on top of that NL Central. And same with the Mets. The Mets are trying to keep in that NL East. They do have a pretty good lead, though, as they have a 4.5 game lead over the Philadelphia Phillies. But the Cubs, they pull away with a huge victory over the Mets and
Yeah, and
a
they have,
pitcher's duel.
yeah, yeah, and they have the Cubs have a little bit more of a better record too, where they have a
Mhm.
little bit more wins than the Mets, and they're a higher seed right now in the National League, all
Mhm.
day long. You know what I mean? So if the Mets want to continue to play and climb, they need to beat the teams like the Cubs, who, both teams are leading their divisions.
Mhm.
Okay, but when you get an opportunity to take on a division leader, you need to beat those division leaders. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and,
Because
and
I
no
guarantee
matter,
you're going to see them later on down the
yeah,
road.
yeah, and you got to beat them no matter what. In a 2-0 victory where there's not a lot of hits and your pitcher was able to outpitch the other pitcher, that gives you some confidence. That puts a
Yeah,
little smile on your face there for the Chicago Cubs, and especially for Hendricks, who pitched an amazing game
yeah.
there for the Chicago Cubs. As we'll get on to the next one. The Chicago White Sox take a huge loss against the
Mhm.
Houston Astros,
Woo!
10-2,
Man,
as that was just a demolition derby. The Houston Astros, they played great. Only having 8 hits though, so it must have been some errors or something. Yeah, there was an error on the
yeah,
Chicago
there was
White
an error.
Sox.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Jose Ocridi, I seen this guy a couple times face off against the Blue Jays. He's an amazing guy. 7 innings of work, 5 strikeouts, only giving up 2 earned runs. And Dylan Cease, he had a kind of a rough night for himself, only having 3.1 innings of work, giving up 6 earned runs and only having 4 strikeouts, and also
Woo!
giving up a home run as well. He
Oh,
just had a
that's a tough night.
rough outing. He really did. Dylan Cease just did not have a good night. Neither did the White Sox either. So rough night for the White Sox and a huge night for the Astros.
Yeah, for sure. Winning 10-2 like that. I mean, look, that's the thing. They play a lot of games, so there's a lot of baseball left, and they have a lot of time to right the ship here too. And Chicago, let me check here. I didn't think they were doing that horribly bad here. Let me check.
I think they're 43-26 in the top of the AL Central.
There you go. I mean, they're the top of the AL. So I mean Central, and they're actually one of the teams that have 43 wins.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So all the leaders in the American League all have 43 wins, where not everybody in the National League even has that many.
No, I think San Fran has 44, and then the Dodgers. Right. Those are the two best teams. Everyone else is
okay. Right. So there you go, though. So yeah.
The Houston Astros are right now only 2 games back of the Oakland Athletics as well. So that was a huge win for themselves, as they're right now on a 4-game winning streak. Their next game is against the Chicago White Sox once again, and as they look to climb up that AL West, and they have a pretty comfy spot. They have a really comfy spot in that wild card spot as well, with the Boston Red Sox, and they have a 1-game lead over the Cleveland Indians. So that was a huge win for themselves to kind of bolster that lead for them.
Yeah, for sure. And they're only 2 games back of the A's.
That as well.
So
you're not that far back. You're in a pretty good spot, I think, for the Houston Astros. As we'll move on to the next game. Yep. As we got the Atlanta Braves going up against the St. Louis Cardinals, as the Braves pull away with a 4-0 victory, as John Gaunt there for the Cardinals just did not have the beautiful night, but Charlie Morton there for the Atlanta Braves himself, well, he had an amazing night. He had 7 innings of work, 7 strikeouts. He only gave up 3 hits on the night. That's it. And he had a shutout. Absolutely amazing night there for the Braves, picking up a big win for themselves. They have not been having, too much of a prettier season this year. They've been struggling. 31-35 for the Atlanta Braves. So this is a huge win for themselves. They are a young team. They do have Akana Jr. And Freeman. So they do got some future guys on the way. But this Atlanta Braves team, they probably would like to be in a playoff spot. They are 6.5 games back of the Mets, so they do have a chance if they start stretching together some wins now.
Yeah, some more of these wins. Yeah.
Yeah. And even where's the I think it's where's the Cardinals? Oh yeah, Cardinals are 4 games back of the Cubs as well. So even they have a chance as well at getting themselves back into the division. But right now it's a pretty tough race there for the Braves and the Cardinals as well.
Yeah, for sure. Especially in trying to get to the top. You know what I mean? Trying to get to the top, though. So that's for sure. So there you go, man. There's some great games there. We got some games coming up here today, Friday. The Oakland Athletics versus the New York Yankees. That's kicking off at 7:05 Eastern time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That should be a really, really good set of game there. Milwaukee Brewers versus the Colorado Rockies. That's going to be an 8:40 will be first pitch for that one as well there. And then the final game of the day is going to be the Tampa Bay Rays versus the Seattle Mariners, and that's a 10:10 p.m. Eastern time start. So if you're down with some of them late night baseball games, Tampa Bay and Seattle Mariners will be there for you for sure, though. So we'll check that out and get them going here for the Friday's games. And then also the big hockey game that's going to happen tonight, the Montreal Canadiens against the Vegas Golden Knights. That's at 8 o'clock at the Bell Center in Montreal. And so that should be that's game 3 of that series. And then we got some of the basketball games kicking off. Right.
Yeah, also to know on that Athletics and Yankees game, it's a free game of the day. So if you want to go to the MLB, you get it to watch it for free. So if you don't have any TV or anything, you just have your laptop, you get to watch that game for free on MLB.com. Right. So if you want to watch some free baseball today, there's your chance at 7:05 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, there's even some basketball games on tonight between the Utah Jazz and the Los Angeles Clippers. That's at 10 p.m. Eastern. And the Philadelphia 76ers going up against the Atlanta Hawks at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and both of those are Game 6. So that's going to be a big one between both of those.
Yeah, they
four
could
of
be
those
elimination
teams.
games. They could be
Yep,
elimination games for sure.
big
So.
elimination games tonight. So some exciting stuff happening.
Oh man, we got a lot of great stuff coming up here for you for sure. Another great show, man. Another great round of information we got for you here. I'm your co-host, Steel Flyers. You can catch me on Twitter at SteelFlyers52, and our great host, Payton.
You can find me out on Payton Radio on Twitter, and you can also check me out on my YouTube channel at Payton on the Radio and my Instagram as well.
All right, there you go. And you can check this all out on www.steelflyers.com/links/Payton on the radio. So check it all out. Please hit the like and subscribe. We will catch you all on the next time on the Sports Desk Show with Payton on the radio. Thank you, everybody.